Hey there, Melissa, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am sharing my How to Colour Kit with Style Colour Kit and Layout share. And before I get into the layouts, I just wanted to show you how I got on with my stash kit. Now, if you need to go back and have a look just for a refresher of what I had to start with, you can find the video a few videos back. But basically I had a couple of, or maybe 3 or 4 full-size sheets of pattern paper, a Vicky Burton background paper, and these 6x6 paper pads. And I think my entire kit was based around this paper that I've hoarded for years and years and never used it. And as you can see, I've used some of it. So just as a side note, we also had a discussion in my house about whether these were leaves or feathers, and I think we decided they were both. Anyway, you'll see how I've used them soon. So when it came to the 6x6 papers, I knew that I probably wasn't going to kill them. I struggled to use them, not so much the Lucky Charm, but probably this one, the Inked Rose one. I don't know if the colours were slightly wrong or patterns were a bit different from what I had, but anyway, I did use, I think, a couple of the butterflies. I fussy cut them. But yeah, otherwise you can see that what I've mostly got left here are scraps. I didn't use that, and I really love that, and I'm going to keep that because it definitely needs to just go on a page and take centre stage because I love that quote. Yeah, vellum from my stash. I added a few things to the kit. I added this, which I didn't use. I added this Star Speciality paper, and I added black and white stripe, and I think I added this just from my bag of scraps because I felt I needed them, and you'll see when I get to my project. So yeah, I think I've killed the kit quite well. This was a full Carta Bella cut apart sheet, and I've used most of it. So yeah, that's the paper. A lot of that will go into the recycling bin or to my kids. I did manage to kill this entire pack of Dear Lizzie buttons, so I was really happy about that. And I couldn't believe it. I think I purposefully made myself kill the pack of charms. I think I had used maybe 3, so I killed about 6. Didn't use much washi, but if you know me, you know I'm not much of a washi user. I love the idea of washi, but then I don't really use it. This I wanted to use and didn't, so that'll definitely get kept. All the stuff, unless I say, is going to go back into my stash. These ones didn't really go very well with what I was making, so I didn't kill them, and they'll go back in my stash. This one I had quite a lot used, and I managed to use some of it, so yeah, no reason why these can't go back in my stash, and you may even see them in future kits. Stickers, I think I did a really good job of killing. You'll know, well, if you watched the kit share, you'll know that there wasn't really that much left, but I mean, I've used probably bits and pieces off all of them. Probably give those to my kids and maybe keep those. I don't know, we'll see. This one I'll keep. Some of these words like vacay, spring break, vacation, countdown, vacation, I won't use them because that's not a word we say, so otherwise I'll definitely keep those. This one, the tent's really cute, and I'll keep it, and I'll keep these as well. They just didn't really go with what I was making. This one I was disappointed not to use the hug in a mug because I just love that, so I'll keep that. The mumps are worth keeping. I don't really believe in pizza. I'm not a big pizza fan, so I might give that to my kids, and that's cute, but I'll give the pizza and the donuts, you know, to my kids. Ava's asking for stickers all the time. This one is Rosie Studio. I think I maybe used 2 of these, so yeah. It was hard to make these ones work. I don't know, once again, it's not the product's fault, just probably didn't go with what I was making, so those will go back in my stash definitely. Chipboard, I used some of this. I've actually got this one, comes from here, so some of it, and I'll keep that, go back in my stash. This is killed now. I'm not going to use these. I might give them to Ava, and I'll probably use the chipboard offcuts instead of craft foam to give some dimension. So that's a little tip that you can do to save some money, is use up, and not just save some money, but to help the environment as well. In terms of embellishments, let's look at the stickers. So didn't use these. Really want to do a layout, about 9 things, or I don't know, 8 things, didn't use that. I think I used a star or a heart and none of the words. I don't think I used the words. I think I used some off here. I'll have to have a look. I actually can't remember what I used. I don't think I used any of those, but that's okay. They'll go back in my stash. I used some of these. I put the 2 packs together, so that's why it looks like I've hardly used any. So that's definitely back in my stash. And then embellishments, I think I made a really good job of killing. Added this in. This was from a crop. There was a few other things in here. Ava actually took them, so I never used them. A couple of threads and a little stamp pad. Definitely use that at some stage. I think I used some of these Spiegelman scraps because there's not much left in that packet now. And then here, just things I didn't use. So I used some wood veneer, but not much. I think I must struggle with it. Didn't use that. Not worried though, because that'll get used eventually. Some thread, pom-pom trim, which I cut and didn't use. That's a piece of ephemera. And then the flare badges I didn't use. I did use one of the clips. But yeah, all that just goes back into a box. And maybe I'll share it one day of how I keep my leftover embellishments. And then when I make a kit, I just go through them. So maybe I'll even make a kit with you on here one day. That would be quite fun. So yeah, that's what is left. Okay, so I made a total of 8 12 by 12 layouts. And I think that's really good for me because, first of all, it's a stash kit. Second of all, I didn't have many full sheets of pattern paper in here. And I think that, for me, sort of influences how many layouts I'll get from a kit more than the number of embellishments. And so for this one, I did lots of fussy cutting. These were papers that you'd never think would go together, but I think when it comes to florals, as long as the tones are kind of right, you can't really go wrong. I used the feathers like leaves, and Brielle just loves this layout. I'm so happy with this layout, actually. It's, yeah, a bit different for me, but I'm really happy with it. This is a Vicky Booten mixed media background page that's already made, and I centered it around this Carta Bella cut apart, which says grow. I've added, I don't know if you can see it, it's close to my heart, shimmer brush in clear, and this just adds shimmer to whatever you add it to. I use these charms like any other embellishment really, and a lot of them I just put a little pop dot behind, oh not pop dot, a little glue dot behind them, and then just use them like you would a button. Yeah. These little ones were cut out of a card as well, and so were these little embroidery hoops. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's a bit of a different style for me, but I'm going to embrace it and go with it, and quite inspired to make some more sort of organic kind of layouts. That one. This one was for a challenge, friends, local friends. When I say local, I mean like where I live and also in our country, and one friend in Australia has been joining as well. She used to live here, but it's been really good. We've been having crops most weekends, and this one was to get as much colour onto a page as possible. And this is my daughter's netball team from last year, so this is an older cut file from the cut shop, and it looks like a netball. And this is to represent me being the mama taking the photos, and then I just colour matched. So I watercoloured underneath this is the cut file. I watercoloured the pattern paper underneath, put the cut file on top, stitched, and then colour matched on top to whatever colour it is. So yeah, that's where you can see a lot of embellishments being used up. And I added some extra things into the kit, like that elephant. I've had him since I designed for Click Kits way back in 2016, I think, so I was glad to get him on the page. Yeah, and so that's that one. This one, no, I don't love it that much, I'll be honest. It was for a challenge at the crop as well, and the challenge was to scrap lift a magazine cover, and so the magazine cover was a hunting magazine, and it had landscape, and it had the hunters with the deer that they had killed. I didn't love it, but I wanted to have a go at the challenge, and so what I lifted from that page was the lines of the landscape, and there was a central place title for the magazine title, New Zealand Hunter or something like that. So the person that set the challenge chose that magazine on purpose because it was so challenging for us. I added the turned over corner, but yeah, lots of embellishment tucked into my layers, and that's a photo of Ava and our friend's baby, and she was very excited to hold him, so that was cool. This one I also don't love. It was a challenge to scrap food, and so I'm making a 12 by 12 album about our current isolation situation. And yeah, actually I said I didn't know what thickers I used from that foam pack, but I used the When in Doubt. And so I called it When in Doubt Bake because our kids have been baking a lot, especially Azaria, during this time. That's been really fun to watch. What I don't love about this layout is the kind of pastel watercolours that I did. But anyway, it's done now and the memory's scrapped. And yeah, it's probably just me that doesn't like it. The kids like it. This one I love. This was another challenge, and the challenge was you had to choose either whether you wanted a rhino horn on your face or a pigtail on your chin. And I chose the pigtail, and the people that chose the rhino horn got to make a layout that was rainbow themed, but the people that chose the pigtail had to make a black and white layout, and so I was a little bit gutted I didn't choose the rhino horn. But this was an amazing challenge for me because it pushed my creative limits, and I don't have a lot of black card. Oh, I don't have any black cardstock. I think maybe I've got a piece that's been cut apart. So I had to go outside of the box, really, and think of how I could do this in my kind of style. And so I used acrylic paint. I gessoed my background. I had a packet of bows too, actually. I think I only used one from it. But that's why I pulled in a bit more from my stash, like this little house that I cut apart. These titles are perfect. That's a Vicky Boughton chipboard piece that I pulled in. And I also pulled in some more thickers, which I always think are sort of freebies when it comes to a stash kit. So that's just documenting me trying to work at home and Ava sitting behind me on my office chair. So I'm really happy with how this one turned out. This one I love as well. This one, the challenge, what was the challenge? Oh, it was a mood board, and it had these beautiful colours on it, and so I went with the colours. I did manage to use some of the Dear Lizzie 6x6 pad for this one. I pulled a card. Oh, I think maybe it was already in my kit. I can't remember, but it's a hip kit. 4x6 cards and fussy cutting those stickers from my stash, and I just hand cut hearts and did a bit of watercolour. Yeah, managed to get some of that ephemera down, those florals that I hadn't used in many other layouts. Did some hand stitching, and I love how this one turned out. And this one was the first one I made with my kit, and trying to think. Oh, it was a sketch. Actually, no, it was for Christie's Beautiful Life. Was it? Yeah, it was. It must have been. It was a sketch anyway, and yeah, I found the sketch really difficult because it had 3 areas of circle, but I made it work for me, and I used the Felicity Jane frames, which I used up as well, I think because I only had the one left. And then just layered a few bits and pieces. This one I've got sort of hanging rather than secured. And a bike to represent Brielle on her bike, and some doodling around the edge. And that, yeah, I'm happy with how that one turned out as well. And this one I think was the second one I made. And I had been watching Vicky Boughton's lives and sort of practicing a few techniques with the gesso and the texture paste. And then I used Lindy's Gang Magicals to get that beautiful pink colour and some splatters as well. And so this is Azaria, and I just called it Happy Life off those thickers. And yeah, fussy cut one of the tags off that Cartabella paper, fussy cut some of the Dear Lizzie little envelopes, another charm chipboard, fussy cut flowers and butterfly from the embellishment pack. And I just love how this one turned out, and I think I should try and do a few more mixed media layouts because the process is actually really fun. Not that making other layouts isn't fun, but for me it's experimental because I'm so new at it. And yeah, so that's everything I made. I'll be back in another video really soon with my kit. for May. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate all your comments, all your likes, and yep, I'll be back real soon.